past couple of weeks. Yes, I've been working quietly behind the scene, and you can see there are different sizes, different shape, different designs. I've been experimenting on all these on this accessory, and today we are going to really get to it. Hello guys, today we are going to work on a beautiful accessory, and that is your DIY heart bag. So let us get into it and you understand what I'm talking about. Now here is the basics. Yes, you need to really, I took my time to study to learn how to get this accessory done. Especially if you are not a fan of crossweave projects, this is your 101 tutorial to learn from. Yeah, first thing first, you need to draw how it's going to look because it's a heart pattern, right? So after drawing it, so from what I learned, you need to make like five lines. Yes, and each line comprises of bead subsets. Yes, so we're starting from the smallest one. You make like 3 beads. The next one you make like 4. The subsequent ones you make 5, 5, 5. Yeah, so I took my time to count how many beads in each one. If you take your time, you understand that in each one, let me pause it for a moment so that you understand what I'm talking about. Now the first thing to do is note how many beads are in each row. Like there are 3 subsets in this first row. We have 5 beads at the first one. Yes, so now the second column you have 6 beads. The third one is 5 beads. That is for the first row. Now the second row, you have like 6, 6, 6, 6. That is how it is. Then and so forth and so forth. Draw your heart shape, and now draw 5 rows in the heart shape. The first one is the smallest part, and it comprises of 3 subsets. The second one is 4 in the row, 4 subsets in the row. That is the second one. Now the third one is the third row, right, is 5 in the row. The fourth one 5, and the last one is 5. Yeah, if you see how I did it, you understand that I had to know how many beads are in each of the circles, inside each of the subsets. And that is how to understand how to make this cross sleeve pattern. Now this is not different from what you see online. There are other channels that will show you exactly step by step what they did. Here I try to give a diagrammatic representation of the project is all about, the tutorial is all about. Now where it start getting interesting is when I had already finished my half heart pattern. That is where I now introduce my own idea to it. So I will employ you to go and check other channels to learn how to do all these other how to get the half leaf. So once you've gotten that, now you come back. We're going to talk about how I joined everything together. This is really interesting. So I was also trying to understand it here because I wanted to really learn how the thing works, right? In each subset, it starts, if you're starting from the bottom, it starts with 5 beads, next 6, then you conclude that first row 5 beads. Then the second row, as you're starting, it starts with 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. The third row, which has 5 columns, is 6, 6, 6, 6 beads. Then the top at the top is 5 beads. Then before that, I need to state that you notice I drew the left hand side. I also drew the right hand side. I drew the right hand side earlier. Yes. Then I now went on to draw the left hand side. So that is just to give you an idea. At the end of the day, you now join both A and B together with a bead. So let's get into it now. And if you're getting knowledge from this whole project, please do not forget to subscribe. It really does help your girl. So do not forget also to share, to comment, and to share your input. Also tap on the notification bell so that whenever we post a project like this, you'll be one of the first to get notified. Okay, and let us get back into the tutorial. If you watch here closely, you notice that I was making some small mistakes because I was still learning. I was following the diagram that I drew to get along, but as I move on, as I bead, I started understanding how the structure is. So here I'm starting from the bottom, which is 5 beads first, then the next one is 6 beads, and the last one on that first row, the bottom row, is 5 beads. So 5, 6, 5. Now moving to the next row, it will now be 6 6 6 6. So until you get to the third row where you just have only 5 beads on top. Then until you progress and get to the last row, which is the last bead you're going to conclude, is 5 beads. As I'm saying it, it is a little too much to digest, but if you follow through, you really get what I'm talking about. Meanwhile, if you really want to understand this in detail, watch other channels, understand it, and then we will come back to this, and then let's talk how to get this one done. So here, if you notice, I to X this part because I wanted to get to the part where I have completed the 4 leaves so that I can move to the next step. Meanwhile, I want to share a few tips I found out while I was working on this project. Let's go there. Now, bear in mind that you can use any bead of choice. Secondly, I also want you to know that really, when you make this project, you realize that it's very petite, it's really mini, so you may not be able to fit in your pouch, and that may be problematic. So in this video also, I'm going to show you how to increase the size of the mini bag, so at least it can fit in your phone and other few smaller accessories. And from here, you can make using the same pattern. The pattern, you can reproduce it as far as you follow the procedure. Then thirdly, you will notice that if you produce 4 halves as I stated earlier, it's not going to give you a true form of the heart pattern. Yes, instead there will be a little distortion on the bottom as we are joining it, but this will help the bag to sit on its own instead of falling off. Well, this may sound so foreign and too much, lots of information right now, until you make 2 or 3 of these bags, and then you realize what we are talking about. Anyway, follow the crossweave process according to the design what we have designed here, the diagram, and also make 4 leaves from this process. Then we can move on to the next step. Let's share the last tip before we continue. And if you're getting knowledge from this, please share the word. Let's continue. So I also want you to know that the diameter of the thread is very, very important when you are doing this kind of big bag. Currently working with 40mm diameter thread. What I realize is that the 50 adds more strength and allows the bead to stand on its own more than that of the 40. Here is an example of the one I made with 50mm diameter thread. You notice I can stand on its own, okay to work. So that's how I came to that conclusion. I have been experimenting. So 40 as the minimum to use when you're making bag is 40mm. Do not go below 40, else you are going to have a very wobbly bag when you are done. And you expected to put some items, some accessories in the bag, so of course you need something that will increase the tensile strength at the end of the day. Okay, so let's talk about how to increase the size of the bag. To increase the size of the bag, you will bead 6 rows instead of 5 rows. In each row contains 6 columns. Still follow the process like is drawn in the diagram. The only difference is that I experimented this in this particular bag. If you notice, the curvature is slightly different from the other bags. I now realize that if you want to get a bigger size your bag, once you increase the number of the rows, still follow the pattern. What I mean is that first row will become 6 rows and 6 column. The first row will become 6 column subsets, right? You realize that the process is still the same, but what changed is just the number of the columns, and subsequently it will affect the rows. The rows will also be 6 rows at the end of the day. The columns will be 6 rows. So if you want to do 7 rows, that is, you want to make the bag longer, it will still be 7 7, right? So the longer the bag, it will affect the width slightly, but you will notice that the margin where the curvature is supposed to happen will still be the same, and it will look the same. The only difference is that it is changing, it is increasing in size. So try this and let us see how far you've gotten, and share your feedback actually done. Then now here I am already almost concluding. The next thing is to go ahead and cut off another comfortable length of thread and make another part as I did here. So this is part A, and B was actually concluded, so I needed to do an extra two to conclude this. I had to get new supplies to make the remaining two for this. You notice that this is the traditional length. This is 555. Yes, this is 555. So it's quite easy, and it works up very, very, very fast. Here I needed to like join the two leaves that I've made at the same time so that you see how it looks like. This is the part I was talking about earlier. Yes, so I had to join it with a bead. So once I'm done joining it, I'll still go ahead and make another two leaves and join them as this joining we conclude the first part, the second joining the same thing. So this is what I was talking about. You won't see it this way in other YouTube channels. The method here is you make 4 leaves as I have made here. You have to join it 2 leaves with a you have to join 2 leaves together with a bead in between them. After making the A and B, once you are done, you can proceed. Yes, I'm done concluding this, and I made a second part. So the next thing now is to bead round it to create a curvature, a curve. To start this step, you have to pick the bead from the 3rd row to start beading around it. So you pick from this 3rd row on this first side and bead it round to the 3rd row on the other side. Now after beading around it, the next step is to join both half bags together to form a cohesive bag. Here you see I'm done beading around it. You see some alterations anyway at the bottom where I joined the 2 leaves. Anyway, let us go ahead and do it. And finally I was done. See where I finished it is giving me that heart shape, and I'm loving it. I made another one and I was just experimenting to see how it looks like, but although I have already loosened all these ones, so these are other ones I made using 5, using 6 column, 5 columns to establish a point. I was really learning here, but I'm happy that I was able to make all this project. So go ahead and make your own and let me know. And do not forget to subscribe, share this to bead enthusiasts and bag lovers, also bead lovers, and also let me know in the comment section what your suggestions are. Thank you so much. Bye. See you in the next video.